I tried to unlock it, but the screen flashed, "Password incorrect." A sinking feeling settled in my chest. Zack had changed his password. Before I could put the phone down, a message from Alora appeared on the screen. My heart stopped as I read it. She didn't find out, did she? Flores Povey wiped the corners of my eyes, staring at Zack's phone in my hands. Alora's message echoed in my mind. She didn't find out, did she? What did it mean? What was Zack hiding from me? The bathroom door creaked open and Zack stepped out, a towel slung over his shoulder. His eyes immediately landed on the phone in my hand. He rushed over, snatching it from my grasp. I froze, stunned by his reaction. "Alora sent you a text," I said, watching him. Zack nodded, glancing at the screen. His fingers moved quickly as he typed a reply. For a moment I just stared at him. Then I asked, "Are you hiding something from me?" He froze mid-step, turning toward me with a hard expression. "You checked my phone?" he asked. I ignored his question, repeating mine. "What are you hiding, Zack?" He let out a sigh and replied, "Your birthday is coming up soon. Alora and I were planning a surprise for you. We didn't want you to find out." I studied him for a moment, his words hanging between us. My birthday, it was only a week away. I'd almost forgotten. Zack stepped closer and pulled me into a hug. I smiled, relaxing in his arms. Maybe I was overthinking things. "Speaking of surprises," I said, tilting my head to look up at him, "you mentioned our wedding before you left for the border. Now that you're back, what's the plan?" My heart swelled with excitement. I didn't need a grand ceremony, just something simple with our family and pack. Zack hesitated. He loosened his grip as he stepped back, avoiding my gaze. "I don't think it's a good time. There's too much work to deal with right now." His tone was indifferent, and it sent a chill through me. "What?" I asked, frowning. "Honey, you're the one who kept pushing for the wedding all last year. Why are you changing your mind now?" Zack shook his head, his expression unreadable. "I have to go meet the pack members," he mumbled before walking out, leaving me standing there in a daze. A heavy feeling settled in my chest. Something was wrong, but I couldn't put my finger on it. Later that night, my father, Alpha Joshua, called for a meeting with the pack's key members. Zack, Alora, and I were all summoned. When I entered the meeting room, Zack was already seated at the table. Why didn't he tell me he was back? I moved toward an empty seat beside him. Across the table, Alora sat quietly, her hands folded neatly in her lap. The meeting began with my father addressing everyone. "The annual werewolf ball is in a few weeks," he announced. Excited murmurs filled the room. The ball was one of the most significant events for werewolf packs. It provided a chance for alphas to meet, showcase their culture, and expand their businesses. "This year," my father continued, "our pack will host it." Gasps echoed around the room, and pride swelled in my chest. Hosting the ball was a great honor and would bring much exposure to our pack. My father grinned and delivered the next surprise. "The Alpha King will attend this year's ball." The room fell silent before erupting into whispers. "Alpha King Aron is coming here? What luck! People only see him at council meetings. He doesn't like socializing." My father nodded, pride evident on his face. "We're fortunate to welcome him to our pack. This ball must be the best one yet." I remained quiet, listening to the others. I didn't know much about the Alpha King aside from the tales women told about his commanding presence and striking looks. Zack's voice pulled me from my thoughts. "Alpha, who will host the party?" My father's gaze swept across the room before landing on me. I straightened in my seat, unsure of his intentions. "Flora will host the party," he said with a nod. "Alora will assist her." Zack gave a small nod of approval, and Alora glanced at me briefly before turning back to my father. "I'll do my best to assist," she said softly. The following week was a whirlwind of activity. I poured my heart into planning the ball, determined to make it the best our pack had ever seen. My father's trust in me was an opportunity to prove myself as his capable daughter. Alora, however, contributed little. She seemed content to sit back while I worked tirelessly. I chose not to push her, focusing instead on the tasks at hand. But what upset me most was Zack's continued absence. He didn't come home to the pack house, and every time I called, he claimed he was staying at the company's apartment because of his workload. That night, exhausted after a long day, I was about to fall asleep when Milani entered my room. Miss Zack is back. He's waiting for you in the living room, she said with a smile. Relieved, I hurried downstairs. When I reached the living room, Zack stood holding a cake, a small smile on his face. Happy birthday, Flora, he said warmly. My heart lifted as I realized I had completely forgotten my birthday. Again, Zack handed the cake to Alora, who was standing beside him, then came over to embrace me. My father was there too, watching with a pleased expression. After our hug, Zack stepped behind me and fastened a beautiful necklace around my neck. I touched it, my excitement bubbling over, not because of its value but because it was a gift from him. Happy birthday, sister, Alora said, hugging me, but my smile froze as I noticed the bracelet she was wearing. It was identical to my necklace. She chuckled, holding out her wrist. Zack gave it to me, she said lightly. I glanced at Zack, who shrugged. I was buying your present, and she liked the bracelet, so I got it for her too. What's the big deal? My father asked casually. I forced a smile and cut the cake, trying to ignore the gnawing unease in my chest. Later that night, I returned to my room hoping Zack would stay with me. But once again he left, claiming he had work to do. I lay in bed thinking about my first birthday with Zack, memories swirling in my mind. 3 years ago, on my birthday, Zack knelt on one knee and promised to me, I swear, I'll make you the happiest woman in the world. The scene was unbelievably romantic, and even now, just thinking about it made my heart race. Zack truly loves me. There's no reason for me to ever doubt it. Half an hour later, my phone buzzed with a message. I quickly grabbed it, assuming it was Zack. Instead, I frowned at the screen. Someone had sent me a video. Flora's paver a second. I stared at my phone. I so rarely receive videos, and the image on the screen was nothing but a blur, until I clicked on it. The video started, and all I could see was Zack's face amid a sea of nakedness. My hands trembled as my eyes widened. My Zack with another woman? How could it be? Tears welled and then streamed, and I felt like screaming. I so badly wanted to see who the woman was, but her face was turned away. Zack's was unmistakable, though. The man I loved more than anything had cheated on me. A sob broke from my chest, and then another. I cried for a while, who knew how long, and then called my best friend Kayla as soon as I felt I could get some words out. She picked up on the third ring, her voice sharp with irritation. So you finally have time to call me, huh? I winced. I'd been so busy over the past few weeks that I hadn't spoken to her. Kayla? I managed through a sob. Her tone shifted immediately. Flora? What's wrong? I took a deep breath, trying to steady myself. He cheated on me, Kayla. Zack cheated on me. I covered my mouth, suppressing another wave of tears. With who? For a moment, Alora's face flashed in my mind. I shook my head quickly, dismissing the thought. It couldn't be her. She was my sister. But Kayla's mind went to the same woman as mine. What about Alora? She suggested. I don't know, I said weakly. Kayla sighed. I just don't trust her. She seems too good to be true. She is good. I really didn't want to be accused of jealousy and selfish or something like that. Either way, don't cry over him, babe. He's a scumbag. Just get him out of your life. He doesn't deserve you. Her words were comforting, but they didn't ease the ache in my chest. I inhaled deeply, trying to calm my racing mind. At the same time, I made a decision. You're right, I said. And after the werewolf ball, I'm breaking up with him and making everything clear. Good. Just be careful, Flora. I will be. The next day, Zack didn't come home, and I didn't bother calling him. The maids noticed my mood and asked if I was feeling unwell, but I brushed them off. However, I couldn't abandon my responsibilities, so I focused on the task my father had assigned me. Hosting the ball. Decorations, guest arrangements, food. I oversaw everything, ensuring the preparations were perfect. In the afternoon, my phone buzzed with a call from an unknown number. When I answered, Alora's voice greeted me. Sister, are you free? In no mood to talk to her, I replied curtly. I don't have time right now. Zack was all I can think about right now. Just the thought of breaking up with him made me want to cry. But her next words stopped me cold. I know Zack is cheating. I'm at the Holy Knights Club. Come here if you want the truth. My breath caught and I froze. I opened my mouth to ask how she knew, but the line went dead. Clenching my fists, I fought back the fury rising inside me. After a moment of hesitation, I made my decision. then grabbed my things and left to go to the Holy Nights Club that it took me an hour to get there. When I walked in, the pounding music and flashing lights made me feel out of place. The place was loud, chaotic, and far from anything I'd consider welcoming. As I looked around, men stared at me with predatory eyes. Their gazes made my skin crawl, and I considered turning around and leaving. But before I could, the bartender waved me over. "You're Flora, right?" he asked once I'd gotten close enough.